Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Random Guy on YouTube. Next addition to my virtual portfolio is the company PagSeguro. PagSeguro is a leading provider of financial services and digital payments based in São Paulo, Brazil. The company primarily offers payment processing software for e-commerce websites and mobile applications and point-of-sale terminals. PagSeguro, ticker symbol PAGS, on New York Stock Exchange, is a mid-sized company with $2.8 billion of capitalization. I took the income statement from a very nice website, macrotrends.net. Of course, I looked into the latest earnings release, financial statements, and investor presentation from the investor relations website as well. But PagSeguro is a company with a lot of moving parts, and I appreciate this version of income statement to spot overall trends. So this table is great for that, and it also uses US dollars instead of Brazilian reals. Let's look at revenue. Company has a very nice revenue growth, and I made this chart of revenue in time, and I tried to fit it with exponential curve. On longer scale time horizon, the growth is approximately 23% year over year. And when we look at the last few years since the pandemic, about here, the revenue is a staggering 64% year over year. I don't know how much will the company grow in the future, but the past results are amazing. So if there is so much revenue growth, how is the net income doing? It is certainly growing, but not so much as the revenue. I put the past several years into the chart here, and as I said, for the past few years there is certainly some growth, but overall the income is pretty stable, not going anywhere. So it is fair to ask, what is the reason for that? Neither the cost of services nor the operating expenses seem to grow as quickly as revenue, which is good. So the main reason is this item, non-operating expenses. I did go through the latest earnings release, and it seems that these additional expenses are mainly linked to higher interest rates in Brazil. The positive thing is that PagSeguro makes money mainly on transaction fees, which does not relate to interest rates at all. So if the Brazilian central bank lowers rates, we should see a surge in profitability. So let's look at Brazilian inflation and interest rates. Brazil started raising interest rates in early 2021, which is much sooner than US, and it seems that Brazil is ahead of USA. Right now, the inflation is plummeting, and it has been like that for many months, and Brazil did not increase interest rates for a while, keep it stable at nearly 14%, which is much higher than the inflation rate. The current year-over-year inflation rate is below 6%, which may seem still terribly high, but this inflation is actually quite normal in Brazil. Of course, this is just my opinion, but I think the Brazilian central bank will start lowering rates very soon. For the sake of completeness, let's look at the balance sheet. PagSeguro has quite a lot of current liabilities, but I think this is quite normal for a financial company, and current assets are much higher than the current liabilities. The long-term debt is zero. I am by no means an expert, but I think this balance sheet is quite okay. So the current share price is $8.94, and you couldn't get this company any cheaper since the IPO at the New York Stock Exchange in early 2018. During these 4 years, the revenue almost tripled. PagSeguro is a leader in digital payments in Brazil and has a proven revenue record. It is trading currently at very cheap valuations of 11 PE or 1.3 price to book, and I expect major tailwinds ahead in the form of lower interest rates. Lower interest rates will help the share price in at least 3 distinctive ways. First, lower interest rates directly help to increase profitability of the company. Second, lower interest rates should stimulate the Brazilian economy and more people should be able to buy stuff online. And third, Lower interest rates means future earnings should be less discounted, and that should affect the share price positively. Now let's look at portfolio update. Since the last week, the only company in my portfolio was Exelixis, and it went up 7.67%. At the same time, S&P went up 1.45%, and Nasdaq went almost 1% up. Of course, I care about long-term results, but this is nevertheless a very nice start. Now I am adding a second company to the portfolio, and for $100 we can get 11.19 shares of PagSeguro. For comparison, I will also add $100 to S&P fund and $100 to Nasdaq fund. I plan to track all of these long term. And at last, I have to remind you that I am not your financial advisor, and none of the content of this video is a financial advice. I do own Exelixis and PagSeguro in my own real personal stock portfolio. That's all from me today, and see you next week.